Greetings, Soul Tribe. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sacred Temptress 555, bringing you uplifting and spiritual guidance on temptations, relationships, and transformation. Today we have a special guest to express his words on his personal journey with temptations, something we all have in common that brings us inner battles that we face and use self-discipline and our willpower to master. If you're here today, you were chosen to tap in and listen to his experience, as we are all evolving as a collective, and this is your sign to join us. If you're new to my channel, like and subscribe to stay aligned with my monthly tarot readings, guided affirmations, learning videos, and special birthday messages. If you're already a subscriber, my gratitude to you. Now back to the main star of today's interview. Let's welcome TK from TK Society. Peace and light, TK. Thank you for participating in today's interview.
Peace, Sacred. I am grateful to be here.
Awesome. Let's start by sharing your expertise along with your purpose and share where our listeners can find your information.
My expertise, I have a background in film for almost 15 years, a lot of music videos, commercials, all that stuff, slowly transitioning into short films. And my purpose is to help others and assist others in their personal journey, their personal growth, going from mental health to educational content for single fathers, relationships, for the youth. And yeah.
That's what's up.
You could also find me on social media as well. For the film side, you can follow me on Instagram, Film by TK. And for the personal development content, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. TikTok is t.ksociety and Instagram is tksociety11.
Perfect. Now getting into today's interview, what does temptation look like for you in your personal journey? Is it something external or something that begins within?
So temptation with my personal journey was definitely from both within and external. When it comes to an external temptation, it was from materialistic items, which then led to an internal battle of wants and haves. While on my journey, I was held back a lot from these temptations and also realized that some of these temptations had turned into addictions. The urge was all the silent internal battle. Even though some were just temptations and very temporary, in the moment it felt like an addiction.
I definitely agree that temptations can turn into an addiction if you do not have full control over your actions. Temptations, especially during our personal journey, definitely can be both external and internal. I would say internal more so due to the emotions, feelings, and attachments that we have towards the temptation itself. But one must become aware of this knowledge and master their self-discipline, self-control, and willpower in order to have full control over them. I would also say it's an individual experience where no one can force you to dive deep into your temptations because you are the true master of yourself internally and you are in full control. When you find yourself tempted, what spiritual or mental tools help you regain control and discipline?
When I found myself tempted, a lot of self-talk and self-reflection helped me regain control and discipline. The only person that could stop me from falling into temptation, was myself. My higher self knew I needed and wanted to do better. It was a constant reminder to stay on track, away from the things that pulled me from my purpose, which over time built my discipline up. Self-reflecting helped me see progress throughout my journey. Don't get me wrong, there were multiple times when I did fall for temptations, which then I realized and learned my lessons. I was able to reflect and see what had gone wrong and work on that. Not every failure is a failure. There are always lessons to be learned. Meditation along with breathing has really helped too. There have been a lot of times where I've reacted off of temptation without being fully aware. It took a while, but through closing my eyes, meditating when I can, helped. At times or places where I couldn't meditate, breathing and being aware was a very useful tool. It allowed me to think of the times when I did fall towards temptations. The lessons I learned from it were brought up in reminders so that I won't fall for it again. It made me slow down, think first before reacting. Another tool that I felt was very important was the 7 Hermetic Principles. Knowing these 7 principles helped me through a lot on my journey. It gave me a better understanding of how the universe works. It allowed me to set boundaries within myself to refrain from temptations. Also, opening your sacral chakra and having balance is key. I realized I was unbalanced. At the start of my journey, I was unbalanced and failed to realize this. I was falling for all my temptations without any control. Having control allowed me to find peace and joy within myself.
Indeed. When it comes to spiritual and mental tools, I always recommend and also practice mindfulness as it brings me awareness into the present moment and helps me observe the temptation rather than me actually taking action. Mindfulness teaches what triggered the desire and what emotion is attached to the temptation. Another good tool to use is journal writing to gain emotional clarity. Many urges usually come from the feeling of loneliness, stress, unresolved trauma, or just craving validation. There's also one tool for the spiritual that most people do once they awaken their awareness, and that's setting spiritual boundaries. Remember, every temptation begins with access, but boundaries protect the mind and spirit from unnecessary influence, such as blocking or muting people who trigger you or deleting apps that feed distractions. You can also say no without feeling guilt, right? Do you feel that temptations are tests from the universe or opportunities for self-mastery?
In this case, when you are faced with obstacles of temptation, you are definitely being tested by the universe, which when you look deeper, these tests are opportunities for your self-mastery. Life is full of tests, especially in times when you least expect it or when you feel that you are at your highest. Every test, whether you fail or pass, comes with lessons. Each lessons are all building blocks within your self-mastering journey. Tests are given to you to see your grade level or qualifications. Just like in school, these tests are the same for your self-mastery. You are given challenges and tests from the universe. People might take it as, oh, nothing goes right in their lives. But when you look past it, the universal tests help you shape who you are to become and build your character.
Right, and I agree. Sometimes these tests are cycles that need to be broken. Also, generational curses too. If the same addictive or habitual pattern shows up in your parents, grandparents, and now you, this may indicate an inherited cycle, a repeated pattern that was never healed. This also leads into emotional or behavioral traits that were passed down unconsciously, like anger responses and self-sabotage. These traits often originate from trauma. If no one in your family tried to heal or even develop self-mastery, and you're the first person in your family striving to do so, then temptations could be the spiritual assignment along with the universal test given to you. How do you recognize when something that feels good is actually leading you off your path?
The moment that you feel hooked. The moment when you're at a place where you're not supposed to be and you're thinking about your temptations and you catch yourself thinking about it. Your mind starts to wander almost in a dream state when you should be reminding yourself to be present. When you look forward to temptation instead of being focused and disciplined. When you tell yourself, oh, it's just one more time, it won't hurt, leading to self-deception, knowing you are trying to produce your own guilt.
This was one of my favorite questions because let me tell you, temptations can be disguised as a gift, but spiritually, they pull you further away from your alignment. The best way to recognize this is by seeing how well it sits with your spirit. If your spirit after the fact feels heavy, drained, uneasy, guilty, or out of balance, that's how you know it was never meant for you. Your intuition might kick in and that inner voice starts talking, saying something is off. Remember, your intuition is your first line of protection and feels danger before the mind understands it. It gets deeper though. Have you ever felt like you had to lie to yourself just to justify if the temptation was off? You might have found yourself saying, it's not that bad, or it's just one time. You're basically negotiating with yourself because when you're at your higher frequency, you don't have to convince yourself that you're right. Moving forward, in your experience, what's the connection between temptation and self-worth?
Knowing my self-worth allows me to resist temptation. Without knowing who you are and what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. When you continuously resist temptation, you feel a sense of achievement. It builds your resilience and discipline. Resisting your temptation will indefinitely raise your self-worth. When you are full of temptation, you are full of distractions. You aren't present with no values or no goals. But when you do have goals, you will be constantly tested by temptation, all disguised to trick you. When you have self-worth and you resist temptation, you are in control of your life.
Right. Now to my last question. How do you keep your spiritual energy grounded when faced with distractions or temptations in love, success, or lifestyle?
Being mindful and meditation while maintaining my deep breathing, which gives myself time to think and process. It gives me room to self-talk, reminding myself of who I am while making sure I don't instantly react. Being out in nature, being surrounded by trees, wildlife, the sound of water flowing, clear blue skies, and sun gazing all help me stay grounded. I feel uplifting energy that flows through me, giving me a boost in all areas. It keeps me balanced, showing gratitude, and keeps me in a state of high self-worth. Physical activity isn't just great for the body and health, it's great for the mind too. It helps me stay balanced. It fortifies my mind, fortifies my self-worth without boosting my ego. It grows my mind to be more sharp, builds my discipline, and being able to resist temptations.
True indeed. The best way I can explain this to anyone is to stay deeply rooted in your purpose and don't make no pit stops. Temptations are usually detours away from our purpose. You set yourself up for failure from your actual mission. To remain grounded, you can always ask yourself, what am I building right now? And does this support or sabotage my vision? When you become aware and stay within your purpose, the distractions then become obvious, and now it's up to you to keep walking in your path. TK, so I love that you work out and maintain your physical wellness to stay grounded, because you're basically feeding your spirit before you feed your desire, which also turns into a form of self-discipline and self-mastery as you continue to work out each day. Reading books is also a form of staying grounded and keeping you within your path, especially if you're reading books that educate you and personal development books. Now that we have completed these interview questions, do you have any last words you would like to say to our viewers?
Yeah, of course. I just want to say that for those that are either starting their personal journey or are already on their personal journey, make sure you stick to it. There's going to be distractions, there's going to be temptations all around you. And every time you go higher and higher throughout your journey, something's always going to try to bring you down or keep you distracted. So make sure you stay laser focused, make sure that you stick to your path and strive for greatness within yourself and always motivate the others around you.
That was Peace, TK. Thank you for expressing your words, especially to those who are walking in the path of temptations and not too sure where to start. I trust that this interview shines light upon those who are striving to break free from temptations and looking to practice self-discipline and control. You can follow TK's journey on most social media platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. I'll also leave his information in the description area of this video. For those who are new to my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with my monthly tarot readings and learning videos and interviews on temptations, relationships, and personal growth. If you're already a subscriber, my gratitude to you. Until next time, peace, light, and divine love.